Hooray for Hollywood. What?
Let's just tell them about it. Hello there, parapeeps, and welcome to another episode of Our Haunted Travels. I am your host, Shawn Donnelly.
And I'm your co-host, Marianne Donnelly.
In this video, we are going to tell you about the Hollywood sign. We're going to cover the history of it, our personal experiences, and why we believe that this location is haunted. So if you are into history, paranormal, and forensic type videos,
don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ding that little bell so that you'll find out when a new video from Panic D Videos comes out.
That's right. All right, so to get rolling, we're going to give you the history of the Hollywood sign. So watch this clip and we'll be right back.
Today, the Hollywood sign is 9 white letters, which used to be 13, that stands just below the summit of Mount Lee in Los Angeles, California. It's one of the world's most well-known monuments. Today, the word Hollywood is spelled out in 45-foot-tall white capital letters and stretches for 352 feet. The original sign said Hollywoodland and was erected in 1923 to the tune of about $21,000, and it was only supposed to last for a year and a half, as it was really just a billboard for an upscale real estate development called Hollywoodland. But here it stands, yet today, nearly 100 years later. When it was finished, the original sign itself featured 13 letters, each of which was 30 feet wide and approximately 43 feet tall. Spacing between each letter was approximately 12 feet, and each letter was elevated off the ground, making the top of the letters an average of 55 to 60 feet off the ground. It primarily faced east towards prospective buyers in the hopes that when they sat in a traffic jam or walked down a crowded street, they would look up and see a better life in the hills. John Roche, who could have been responsible for the sign in the first place due to a sketch that he made for an early promotional brochure, oversaw the original construction of the sign in mid-1923. The sign was reportedly completed in 60 days, but to build it, workers scaled almost 1,700 feet to the ridge, and mules were used to transport the materials for the sign the last 75 feet, where the terrain was just too difficult for any vehicles. They dug 18 8-foot holes for 1,440-pound poles that they placed in. These then were girdered with 104 horizontal support pipes, and then were anchored and installed 96 vertical supports to the pipes. To this structure, more than 1,320 pieces of sheet metal, approximately 3x3 to 3x9, each perforated with 1-inch holes to reduce wind resistance, were added to form the letters. Once all of the sheet metal was attached, 540 light boxes were installed around the inside and outside perimeter of every letter, as well as electrical wiring, and of course the sign's over 3,700 20-watt light bulbs, which were placed 8 inches apart around the letters. At night, the sign would blink in the night sky, Holly, Wood, Land, and then the whole Hollywoodland word together. It seemed to have gone undocumented as to when the sign ceased being lit, but in 1933, the Hollywoodland Syndicate was dissolved and it became property of M.H. Sherman Company, who would indicate it was not generating revenue and was costing more to maintain it than it was making him, so he discontinued maintenance on the sign, so it likely stopped being lit around 1933. Something else that seems to have gone undocumented has to do with the dot. In late 1924, a 35-foot diameter white dot was placed on the hillside below the Hollywoodland sign as a political statement, demonstrating support for the Keep the White Spot White campaign. See, in the early 1920s, a map was produced by the United States Chamber of Commerce showing business conditions in different areas of the country. Black indicated poor conditions, gray indicated fair conditions, and white indicated good conditions. Los Angeles was a white spot on the map, and a group of prominent businessmen whose mission was to keep the white spot white was promoting investment in manufacturing and industrial businesses. They even had 3,000 Boy Scouts that got included into the campaign by getting Keep the White Spot White stickers on every motor vehicle in the city. Part of this push was the addition of that massive white spot under the Hollywoodland sign. The cost to erect this dot was $936.16. But contrary to popular belief, the white spot was never illuminated. It can be seen in photographs from 1924 to the 1930s and is absent in the 1950s. So when did it disappear? Not exactly sure. Perhaps it was during the restoration of 1945, or maybe even before, due to some wind damage. Well, as mentioned, the maintenance ceased for the sign, and quickly it became an eyesore. On September 19th of 1936, the second O of Hollywoodland collapsed in a windstorm. Following an inspection of the sign's frame, Hollywoodland manager Gilbert Miller indicated that the wood frame was too badly dried, split, and warped. His recommendation was not to spend money fiddling around with the sign. So they didn't. During the next 2.5 years, 2 other of the sign letters were blown down, and finally, in early 1939, the Sherman Company, under increased public pressure, hired Harmon & Company to repair the sign at a cost of $2,177.43. On December 18th of 1944, the Hollywoodland tract developers known as the M.H. Sherman Company decided to donate the remaining undeveloped land, consisting of 425 acres, including the Hollywoodland sign, to the city of Los Angeles for a price of just $1. On January 30th of 1945, the city of Los Angeles accepted this offer. Unfortunately, the sign's disrepair continued under the city's care as well. In a Los Angeles Times article from March 27th of 1944, it's indicated that a windstorm knocked down the H and that it now reads Hollywoodland. And so it sat for several years. In 1947, with estimated repairs set for $5,000, the city's Recreation and Parks Commission advocated tearing the whole sign down, but residents in the Hollywoodland tract protested. This continued on for an additional 2 years. Then, in April of 1949, the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce began a contract with the City of Los Angeles Parks Department to repair and rebuild the sign. Their contract stipulated that land be removed so that it would spell Hollywood and reflect the district, not the Hollywoodland housing development. On September 26th of 1949, Mayor Fletcher Bowman and John Kingsley, the president of the Chamber of Commerce, swung a pickaxe at the groundbreaking ceremony. Suddenly, the sign took on a whole new role. It was an emblem for the city and an entertainment industry, and it became what we know today as the Hollywood sign. The history then continues again with more neglect and deterioration. By the 1960s, the elements had warped and rusted the sheet metal face, and wood rot and termites had seriously eroded the frame. There it sat, rusted, dilapidated, and ready to crumble under its own weight. In 1973, the sign was designated as a historic cultural monument. In fact, it was number 111 by the Cultural Heritage Board of the City of Los Angeles, and 2 committees were then formed by the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce, the Save the Sign Committee and the Friends of the Hollywood Sign Committee, to help raise $15,000 for the sign's restoration. The money was raised via concerts and other events, contributions of 4,000 general public individuals and companies, as well as a $1,500 donation by the Association of Motion Picture and Telephone Producers, and a $10,000 donation was made by Les Kelly, an automobile dealer and founder and publisher of the Kelly Blue Book. By the way, he also pledged an additional $1,000 to the Save the Sign Committee to establish a perpetual maintenance fund. The contract for the sign's facelift had been awarded to the Neon Products Signs, but few structural repairs were included in the scope of the work. The job essentially focused just on replacing, repairing, and painting the sheet metal face. But February 10th of 1978, there was a powerful windstorm that caused damage to every letter of the sign. In fact, most of the letters simply lost sheet metal that was forming those letters, but there was substantial damage made to the Y and the third O, which sustained the greatest damage, including broken beams, twisted metal, snapped telephone poles, ripped guide wires, and of course the tearing away of sheet metal that formed the letter itself. That Y was also partially collapsed due to one of the compression braces actually being snapped. Just a couple weeks later, on February 27th of 1978, the structural engineer company Edmund Babian and Associates was asked to perform a field inspection of the damaged sign. Its findings were that the main support poles were made of unpreserved wood and had rotted over the years, and since they were embedded directly in the ground, were also heavily infested with termites. On May 25th of 1978, the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce launched a new Save the Sign campaign with a goal of raising $250,000 to build a new, more permanent Hollywood sign. It was to be built of the same design and size as the original, which of course was really not the original, but the 1949 Hollywood version. The $250,000 was such a big number, but befittingly, Hollywood did come to its aid. Hugh Hefner hosted a fundraising party for the Hollywood sign on June 29th of 1978 at the Playboy Mansion West. It was a star-studded party with a cover of $150 a person, where $45,000 was raised. As a token of appreciation, the Chamber of Commerce President Jack Foreman announced that $27,700 of the $45,000 raised at the party would be used to replace the Y, and the new letter would be dedicated to Hefner. By the way, Hefner continued to support the sign and its maintenance until his death in 2017. Rock star Alice Cooper also pledged $27,700 to rebuild the third O. He did this in honor of Groucho Marx. Warner Brothers Records announced that they would also contribute $27,700 for the replacement of the second O. And Andy Williams announced he would pitch in for the $27,700 that was necessary to replace the W. Gene Autry and the KTLA announced their contribution of $27,700 for the second L. Terrence Donnelly, publisher of the Hollywood Independent newspaper, announced his $27,700 for the H. Dennis Lidke of Grabbit Graphics donated $27,000 for the D. Others indicated that it was actually Thomas Pooley who donated in the name of Matthew Williams, but perhaps they were combined, as the others were all set for $27,700 and Litke's donation was $27,000 even. Italian movie producer Giovanni Mazza, moving his production company to the United States, took care of the first O with his $27,700 donation, and of course, Les Kelly, the founder of the Kelly Blue Book, once again came to the sign's rescue by donating the final $27,700 that was necessary, and he did this for the first L. The contract to build the new sign was awarded to the Pacific Outdoor Advertising Company, assisted by Hughes Helicopter and Heath Company. Radin Peterson was the project manager. A crew from the Pacific Outdoor Advertising knocked down the sign in 2 days. The pieces then laid in the hillside and were lost, eventually ending up on eBay, selling to Dan Bliss for $450,000 a number of years later. This time, the construction was much more elaborate. A Hughes 500D helicopter piloted by Greg Ash was used to move steel girders instead of using mules and telephone poles. For the sign's structural core, holes were dug for 20 vertical steel girder support beams. Around the beams, remainder of the holes were filled with 194 tons of concrete. 3 15-foot-long steel beams were then bolted to the top of the foundation beams, resulting in a line of 40-foot-high steel beams. In total, the girders and steel columns alone were 66,683 pounds. To this structural support, horizontal supports were attached and followed by 20,000 pounds of corrugated baked enamel sheet metal panels that formed the sign's letters. When finished, the Hollywood sign stood as the largest sign in the world with a length of almost 450 feet, the square footage being a total of 11,850 square feet, and its total final weight, 480,000 pounds. In 1992, the California Attorney General granted distinct legal rights and responsibilities to 3 different official agencies for the sign. The City of Los Angeles, which owns the land that the sign stands on, the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce, which would own the licensing rights for the sign's image, and the Hollywood Sign Trust, formed to maintain, repair, and provide capital improvements to the sign for the benefit of the public. Even with the sign's structural advancements, the sign is still subject to the ravages of nature and needs upkeep and repair. In 1993, the sign received a new paint job courtesy of Dutch Boy Paints. In 2003, the sign received another new paint job, this time courtesy of Bay Cal Painting and Construction. And in 2013, in preparation for the original Hollywoodland sign's 90th anniversary, Sherwin-Williams donated a special, eco-friendly latex paint along with the labor that included a 10-week makeover for the sign. There have also been fire threats and additional windstorms, but today it seems to be being kept up in efforts to preserve it for generations. Sometimes, though, it's not nature that's modifying the sign. The first known vandalization alteration was actually on the night of August 31st of 1973, during the restoration itself. During this time, someone altered the sign by draping large canvases over the letter D, depicting a color image of singer Leon Russell, underscored with the words, "Save the sign." Since then, many others have vandalized the sign by altering the letters to create various different messages. Some of the more notable ones are 2 different New Year's Days, 1976 and in 2017. It was altered to say Hollyweed. In 1976 and 1987, it was manipulated to say Holywood. Also in 1987, the H was obscured to read Ollywood during Oliver North's testimony in the Iran-Contra trials. In 1983, it was changed to Go Navy. 1987, it was changed to Caltech. And in 1993, it read Go UCLA. To prevent these unwanted modifications, the area is now equipped with state-of-the-art surveillance and security systems installed in 2000 by Panasonic. Is it working? In the past several years, multiple people have climbed or attempted to climb the sign, though they were met with helicopters, park rangers, LAPD, arrests, community service. So, you decide.
All right, there you go. We are talking about Panic D number 1109, the Hollywood sign. It is at 3204 Canyon Lake Drive.
Yeah, who knew it had
has an address. Has an address. Is it open to the public?
Kind of.
Our database says no.
Kind of. You can't go climbing up on it, but they do have a path that you can get near it.
You can see it, but you can't get to the sign.
Right.
So that's why it says
no. It's a kinda.
It's a kinda.
It's a kinda.
All right, personal experiences.
I have 0 because I've never been there.
That's right. Marianne has
He
0
went without
personal
me.
experiences.
He went with my sister.
I'm going to show you a picture that we have right here. That's how close I actually got to the Hollywood sign. When we went to Anaheim, on a trip to Anaheim, one of the things that Marianne's sister and I did was we took a little tour of LA. And we actually went to Grauman's, and we went to the Wax Museum, and those kind of places. And then one of the places that we went into, which is right next to Grauman's, is the Kodiak Theater. So we went in there, and then here's a picture right here. I'll show you. So this is like an opening, and then if you turn and look, that's the shot of the Hollywood sign that I got. So that's how close I got to the Hollywood sign.
Okay.
So that's our personal experiences.
Closer than me.
Yeah, closer to Marianne. But, yeah, that's how close we got. But I got to see it and take a picture of it for you.
Yes. You did. Someday we'll go and you can show it to me.
Okay.
And maybe if we're in good enough shape, maybe we'll do the hike.
So we'll be all old and decrepit, and when we get caught up there, they'll just have pity on us for being old people.
Yeah. That'll happen.
And not arrest us. All right, so why do we think it's haunted? Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you exactly why we think it's haunted through a video. I'm going to put a link to it right here. We just did a Behind the Haunting. Ding! And we talked about our theories and stuff of why it's haunted or why it could be haunted. Mm-hmm. So that was a Behind the Haunting of the Hollywood sign girl. Mm-hmm. Go take a look at that. And some of the claims, things like that. Tuesday, we actually did the ghost stories and folklore about the Hollywood sign. I'll put a link to that right here. Ding! And you can go check that out. And then Marianne did a recipe. Was it collaboration with Happy Trails Hiking?
That's right. And we didn't really mention it, but one of the recipes was from one of the individuals who has been seen as a ghost.
Mary Pickford.
That's right.
Mary Pickford. So put a link to that right here. Ding! And I think that's pretty much going to wrap up the Hollywood sign. Yep. Unless you have something else you'd like to add.
Just that I think it's interesting how it really started.
Yeah.
And how it became, something that the public really liked, and they forced people in the higher ups who had the say so to keep it all these years.
Yeah. All right. So, hey, until next time.
Thanks for watching.
And happy hunting. Let us know if you like this video by hitting that thumbs up. Also, if you'd like to see more videos from us in the future, support our channel by hitting that subscribe button and dinging that bell so you get notified the next time there's a video from Panic D Videos.
Thanks for watching.
Happy hunting.